Hello, everyone. Today, let's dive into the shocking case where Mike Wolfe, the star of American Pickers, was sentenced to life in prison following the death of his longtime friend, Frank Fritz. This case has stunned the entire television industry. Mike Wolfe, the famous star of American Pickers, was sentenced to life in prison following the mysterious death of his co-host and longtime friend, Frank Fritz. The case not only revealed the breakdown of their relationship, but also exposed the cold, calculated actions behind the television star's glamorous facade. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on the latest updates on this shocking case. Share your thoughts in the comments below, and let's discuss the surprising details of Mike Wolfe's case. In a strange twist to a crime drama, American Pickers star Mike Wolfe was convicted in connection to the tragic death of his former co-host, Frank Fritz. As the prison doors slammed shut, Wolfe was reportedly heard uttering a cold farewell, leaving the nation in shock. News of the event spread like wildfire across the United States, with fans stunned to see Wolfe being led away in handcuffs. Initially, many believed the issue was related to behind-the-scenes conflicts or a business dispute with the History Channel. However, the truth gradually emerged to reveal a much darker story. Authorities identified Wolfe as the primary suspect in the case, which they referred to as the Fritz incident. Strangely, just days before Fritz's death, Wolfe had posted a heartfelt tribute on Instagram. "I'm so sad to hear about the passing of Frank. I've known him for over half my life, and what you saw on TV was the same as what we had in real life. He was a special person. Rest in peace, my friend." But this tribute became increasingly suspicious as investigators uncovered disturbing evidence linking Wolfe directly to Fritz's death. Initially, Fritz's death was thought to be caused by complications from a stroke, given his medical history of cerebrovascular disease and aortic stenosis, making the idea of a natural death seem reasonable. But everything changed when an empty pill bottle was found in Fritz's home, with fingerprints that led back to Wolfe. A forensic analysis revealed that Fritz had a lethal dose of fentanyl in his system, a powerful opioid not prescribed to him, especially considering his strict treatment regimen and the high risks due to his health condition. The notion that Fritz had taken the drug voluntarily was immediately ruled out. As the investigation intensified, suspicion began to focus on those who had interacted with Fritz in his final hours. A key piece of information from a member of the American Pickers crew led police to a critical location, while a chain of suspicious messages from Wolfe only heightened the doubts. Eventually, the evidence became undeniable. Electronic information, fingerprints, and toxicology reports all pointed in one direction. Prosecutors argued that the case stemmed from deep jealousy and professional animosity, accusing Wolfe of becoming bitter over Fritz's long-standing fame and acting out of personal ambition. For fans who had once thought the rift between them was just a publicity stunt to add drama to the show, the truth revealed a far more tragic reality. American Pickers had now become more than just a treasure-hunting program. It had turned into a real-life tragedy, one overshadowed by betrayal. What had started as a quest for valuable antiques now morphed into a dark story of betrayal and manipulation. Mike Wolfe, a face familiar to fans of American Pickers, was no stranger to Frank Fritz's home. What seemed like harmless visits became the perfect cover for his more sinister intentions, allowing him private access without arousing suspicion. However, behind these visits lay a far more sinister plot. Toxicology reports revealed a deadly level of fentanyl in Fritz's system, a concentration that could kill anyone, particularly someone with Fritz's medical history. As investigators dug deeper, they uncovered an alarming detail: Wolfe's internet search history. Prosecutors revealed that in the weeks leading up to Fritz's death, Wolfe had searched for poisons that couldn't be detected and ways to simulate stroke symptoms, an eerie coincidence with the official cause of death. This wasn't a coincidence. It was a meticulously planned crime. If you find this information intriguing, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to follow the latest stories. Share your thoughts in the comments and help us spread the word about this story to more people. These shocking revelations led to a thorough investigation by the Iowa State Police. Undercover detectives focused on those closest to Fritz during his final hours, and the trail led straight to Wolfe. Surveillance footage from Fritz's quiet neighborhood provided the final piece of the puzzle. Wolfe's car had been seen in Fritz's driveway just 3 hours before the emergency call was made. The 911 call, made by Mike Wolfe himself, seemed at first like a frantic cry for help. But on closer examination, it appeared to be the first step in covering up the truth, controlling the narrative from the very start. When paramedics arrived, Wolfe seemed deeply upset, with some even reporting that he was crying. But his actions afterward were in stark contrast. Instead of mourning, Wolfe immediately began taking control of Fritz's assets, legacy, and reputation. Greed, betrayal, and a question worth $6 million had begun to surface. Less than 48 hours after Frank Fritz's tragic death, Mike Wolfe made a move that shocked everyone. He contacted an attorney, not to grieve, but to discuss protecting Fritz's name and image for future commercial purposes. He also secretly visited Fritz's hidden storage units, places known only to a few, where rare, never-before-seen antiques were kept. According to court documents, Fritz's will was suddenly made public, leaving his entire $6 million estate to one person, Mike Wolfe. This revelation immediately caused an uproar among Fritz's family, friends, and fans. William Fritz, Frank's father and the only remaining family member, filed a lawsuit to challenge the will, claiming the signature and the circumstances surrounding it were highly suspicious. Did Frank truly leave his entire estate to someone he had grown distant from in his final years? As William fought to reclaim his son's legacy, Wolfe continued to strengthen his position, hiring lawyers to defend the will as a legitimate document. But instead of resolving the issue, his determined attitude only fueled further public suspicion. Was he honoring a final wish? Or was he hastily trying to protect an estate built on betrayal? The center of the lawsuit revolves around one important question. Did Frank Fritz have the mental and physical capacity to sign the will? If the answer is no, it would invalidate Wolfe's claim to the inheritance and strengthen the prosecutor's theory of manipulation and calculated greed. Investigators discovered Wolfe's private journals, revealing a darker side to him that the public had never known. The journals exposed his anger and resentment towards Fritz, documenting frustrations, bitterness, and even thoughts of eliminating Fritz to take control of the spotlight. One journal entry, written just weeks before Fritz's death, coldly stated, "Without me, this show wouldn't exist. He's become a burden." The events leading up to and following Fritz's death only increased suspicion. Surveillance footage showed Wolfe visiting Fritz's house at night, just hours before the emergency call he made himself. While he appeared saddened at the scene, the abnormalities in the autopsy, his search history, and personal journal entries told a much darker story. A search of Wolfe's home and office uncovered a hidden safe, inside of which were several bottles of unlabeled drugs. Forensic testing confirmed that the substances matched the poison found in Fritz's body. The evidence was irrefutable, but what shocked the public even more were the personal notes found alongside the pills. These journal entries not only expressed resentment, but also indicated motive, opportunity, and the chilling indifference of a man who had once called Fritz a brother. Mike Wolfe, who had once been America's favorite on American Pickers, now found himself at the center of a real-life horror story. Not a lover of antiques, but a man caught up in ambition, greed, and betrayal of friendship. Wolfe's coldly written journal entries appeared to be a blueprint for a crime with purpose. These personal notes, once hidden from the public, became the focus of a case that shocked America. The high-profile trial of Mike Wolfe lasted 6 tense weeks and attracted national attention. Every day the courtroom was packed, and headlines across the media closely followed each development in the case. Prosecutors presented a systematic argument, built on clear evidence, to expose the truth behind the glamorous facade of the famous American Pickers show. The documents and evidence revealed a terrifying truth that few had ever suspected. The autopsy report confirmed that Frank Fritz did not die from natural causes as many had believed, but from a lethal dose of fentanyl, a powerful opioid. This substance was not in Fritz's prescription, contrary to the initial information suggesting he died from complications of a stroke. Authorities continued to investigate and uncovered more chilling details. Wolfe's internet search history contained disturbing terms like how to simulate a stroke, undetectable poisons, and can stroke-like death be detected in autopsy, indicating that Wolfe had thoroughly researched how to stage a perfect crime. Further investigation led authorities to find a hidden safe in Wolfe's home and office, containing several unlabeled drug bottles. Forensic testing confirmed that the substances matched those found in Fritz's body. However, one of the most chilling discoveries came from Wolfe's own journals. These entries not only chronicled the stress of work and creative differences, but also contained anger, jealousy, and malicious intent. One particularly disturbing note sent shivers down everyone's spine. "Without me, this show wouldn't exist. He's become a burden." Surveillance footage presented in court showed Wolfe's car arriving at Fritz's house in the middle of the night, just hours before he made the 911 call reporting Fritz's unresponsiveness. Initially, Wolfe appeared sorrowful, but his actions in the days that followed painted a different picture. He quickly took control of Fritz's assets, demanded ownership of Fritz's name and image, and accessed hidden storage units containing valuable antiques. This rush, combined with the mounting evidence, further solidified the prosecutor's accusations that Wolfe had not only acted out of anger, but had planned the crime in advance. Testimonies from American Pickers crew members raised further doubts. A former production assistant recalled the increasing tensions on set, remembering heated arguments and Wolfe's growing obsession with maintaining absolute creative control. She shared a particularly shocking memory of Wolfe telling Fritz, "You don't deserve to make the same salary as me anymore." But the emotional climax of the trial came when Danielle Colby, a longtime member of the show, took the stand. Speaking in a trembling voice, she described witnessing a change in Wolfe's personality. "I noticed Mike becoming increasingly obsessed with being the sole face of the show. It was like he could no longer see Frank, only a threat." As the final pieces of the story were revealed, one thing became clear. Frank Fritz's death was not an accident. but the result of a deliberate act orchestrated by the man he once called a friend. Mike Wolfe's empire may have been built on hunting for antiques, but the true treasure he sought was power. And the price he would pay, it turned out, under the close scrutiny of the court, came in the form of Frank Fritz's doctor's testimony, a devastating blow to Wolfe's defense. The doctor confirmed that he had never prescribed the fatal dose of drugs found in Fritz's body, a confession that shattered any remaining hope Wolfe had of proving his innocence. When directly asked if he had poisoned Fritz's drink, Wolfe's calm demeanor throughout the trial finally broke. He erupted in anger, shouting at the prosecutor, "You don't understand what it's like to build everything from nothing and watch someone else profit just by smiling at the camera. Everyone thinks he was as important to the success of the show as I was." This outburst shocked the entire courtroom, forcing Wolfe's defense team to request a recess. But the damage was done. Members of the jury later described the moment as a turning point, a breakdown that exposed the deep resentment and jealousy Wolfe had harbored towards Fritz for years. Financial motive further fueled suspicion. Forensic accountants testified that in the months leading up to Fritz's death, Wolfe had quietly restructured his company to gain complete control over Fritz's intellectual property in case he faced health problems or passed away. Wolfe had even purchased a $5 million life insurance policy for Fritz, with his company as the sole beneficiary. Prosecutors also revealed that Wolfe had set up a network of shell companies, secretly funneling more than $2 million worth of rare antiques into them. All these signs pointed to a premeditated plan. Just 4 hours after deliberations began, the jury delivered a guilty verdict. When the judge sentenced Wolfe to life without parole, the courtroom fell silent. But then, in a shocking turn of events, Wolfe, who had previously maintained his composure, suddenly stood up and screamed, "You don't understand! He wanted to destroy everything! He wanted to destroy my legacy!" He lunged toward the defense table, knocking papers and cups over, forcing the police in the courtroom to rush in and restrain him. Before he was held down, he attempted to charge toward Fritz's family, flailing his arms in rage. Chaos erupted in the courtroom as Mike Wolfe continued to struggle, grabbing a walking stick, a piece of evidence introduced in the trial, and wildly swinging it, striking a police officer in the shoulder. "I created American Pickers, it's my life's work," he yelled as 3 officers pinned him to the floor, holding him down. Amid the chaos, Wolfe's gaze locked onto Danielle Colby, his longtime co-host, with a look of hatred. He hissed, shouting, "Tell them the truth! Tell them who Frank really was." He repeated the demand louder, as though desperately seeking justification, but Colby simply turned away, tears silently streaming down her face. Documents presented in court had revealed that Wolfe had intentionally isolated the crew from Fritz, creating division and making things irreparable. Even as he was being restrained on the floor, Wolfe continued to spit out accusations and hatred, revealing disturbing ambitions. "I'll start my own show," he screamed. "He told me I was outdated, that the network wanted him back." Before Wolfe was removed from the courtroom, the judge delivered a final, damning statement. "You see yourself as a guardian of history and culture, but deep down, you are a man obsessed with hatred and the desire for control. Today's verdict is not justice for Frank Fritz, but justice for all those who once trusted you." As the cold prison doors slammed shut behind Wolfe, his final words echoed hauntingly in the minds of those present. "Goodbye, everyone." Was that a desperate cry for help from a man finally facing the consequences of his actions? or the last performance of a master manipulator. The relationship between Mike Wolfe and Frank Fritz was the heart and soul of American Pickers, the popular reality TV show that had captivated millions of viewers worldwide. Together, the duo traveled across the U.S., exploring forgotten antique stores and remote roads to uncover rare treasures, each item carrying its own piece of history. Their chemistry on screen seemed so natural, built on mutual respect, a shared passion for antiques, and a bit of playful banter. What truly attracted viewers was the contrast between their personalities and expertise. Even small disagreements felt genuine and endearing, becoming a hallmark of the show. However, behind the scenes, the close relationship between Mike Wolfe and Frank Fritz began to fracture over time. Tensions gradually increased, especially after Fritz's absence from season 21 of American Pickers. Fritz's absence was largely attributed to serious health issues, including heart complications and chronic back pain, which prevented him from continuing to film. However, some insiders revealed that differences in work attitudes and visions for the show also created a growing rift between the two friends. Over time, Wolfe was said to have taken more creative control and began sidelining Fritz, even speaking ill of him to the network executives. This made Fritz feel isolated, pushed aside, and unfairly treated. Their relationship could no longer maintain the harmony it once had, and these underlying tensions became more apparent, eroding the once friendly image viewers had seen on screen. The shocking criminal case involving Mike Wolfe created a wave of shock in the reality TV industry and caused American Pickers to spiral into turmoil. In response, the History Channel quickly pulled episodes featuring Wolfe and released a statement expressing shock at the revelations and condolences to Fritz's family. Major sponsors also withdrew, choosing not to continue supporting the show, raising questions about its future. Meanwhile, Fritz's family filed a lawsuit to reclaim ownership of Frank's antique collection and intellectual property related to the show. They vowed to protect the legacy that Fritz had helped build and pursued legal action against the network for enabling Wolfe's increasingly out-of-control behavior. However, what was most concerning was how Mike Wolfe seemed to exploit his fame in the weeks following Fritz's death. While he posted condolences on social media, Wolfe also used this moment to promote commemorative products, a move that sparked outrage. In her final statement, prosecutor Sarah Donovan declared that this was not just a criminal case, but a revelation of a calculated deception aimed at millions of loyal viewers. Investigators found that over $1 million had been raised in Fritz's name, but most of that money had quietly been transferred into bank accounts controlled by Wolfe. When the guilty verdict was finally handed down, fans across the country were shocked and devastated. Robert Jenkins, a longtime viewer, expressed his disappointment. "We welcomed him into our homes every week, trusted his sincerity, only to find out it was all a lie." Many of Wolfe's former colleagues quickly distanced themselves from him, issuing public statements emphasizing their respect for Fritz and condemning Wolfe's actions. The cast of American Pickers became deeply divided. While some still clung to the belief in Wolfe's innocence, others firmly stood by the overwhelming evidence. Among them was Danielle Colby, a key figure on the show, who publicly sided with the prosecution and announced she would be taking a break from her career following the scandal. She expressed hope that, despite everything that had happened, the spirit of preserving history and honoring antiques could continue. Although Mike Wolfe was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole, the legacies of both men continue, but in completely different directions. Frank Fritz will be remembered as a dedicated collector with a genuine passion for antiques, a man with a warm smile and a sincere enthusiasm that inspired millions to appreciate the hidden beauty in forgotten items. His presence left a lasting mark not only on television, but also in the hearts of fans, who saw him as a symbol of honesty and passion. In contrast, Mike Wolfe's legacy has been tainted beyond repair. Once seen as a pioneer in the world of antique hunting, his accomplishments are now overshadowed by betrayal, greed, and unimaginable crimes. His downfall marks a tragic end to a career that was once celebrated. Mike Wolfe's trial, stemming from the heartbreaking death of his longtime friend and co-worker Frank Fritz, sent shockwaves through the world of reality television and the broader entertainment industry. For many years, American Pickers fans admired the friendship between the two men as they traveled together across America's back roads, searching for rare treasures and the stories attached to forgotten artifacts. Their relationship seemed built on mutual respect, a love for antiques, and a passion for exploration. However, behind the scenes, the relationship between Wolfe and Fritz gradually deteriorated, leading to a tragic ending no one could have foreseen. Mike Wolfe's conviction marked a major turning point for the legacy of the show and the world of reality television. While many fans hoped the tension between the two men was merely rumor or misunderstanding, the revelations in court exposed the darker, manipulative side of Wolfe's personality. As the trial unfolded, it became clear that Wolfe's actions were not simply those of a man driven by ego, but of someone who believed that success and legacy belonged solely to him, even if it meant sacrificing his friend. Testimonies unveiled a disturbing pattern of emotional manipulation, with Wolfe attempting to isolate Fritz from the rest of the cast and crew, while simultaneously taking steps to secure financial benefits from Fritz's intellectual property and personal life. Wolfe's desire for control was not just a disagreement over creative direction or the future of American Pickers, but a calculated, ruthless plan to monopolize the success and legacy of the show. The evidence revealed a man willing to exploit a long-standing collaborative relationship with Fritz for personal gain, ultimately betraying the person who had stood by his side for all those years. As the verdict was read and Wolfe was sentenced to life without parole, a sense of finality descended. The courtroom, filled with mourners for the family who had lost not only a loved one, but also a beloved public figure, went silent in the weight of the decision. For those who had followed American Pickers for over a decade, the sentence served as a bitter reminder of how the pursuit of fame and fortune could lead someone astray, far from the moral path. After the verdict was handed down, the future of American Pickers remained in question. The History Channel's swift removal of all episodes featuring Wolfe highlighted the seriousness of the situation, and the network's public break from Wolfe further tarnished the show's image. Fans, many of whom had loyally followed the show for years, expressed their shock and anger over the betrayal. For many, this betrayal was not just personal, but deeply professional, as Wolfe's actions had sullied the essence of the show they loved. Meanwhile, the ongoing legal battles of Fritz's family over his antique collection, the very heart of the show, added complexity to the situation. The legal fight over Fritz's legacy, both his collection and intellectual property, made clear the extent of the damage caused by Wolfe's actions. As Wolfe's conviction remains in place, it is clear that the legacy of American Pickers will forever be divided, part now linked to greed and betrayal, the other to honesty and heartbreak. Thank you for watching this video. This is a dramatic and heartbreaking story, and we hope it has provided you with useful information. Please continue to follow us so you won't miss the next video. See you next time.